Welcome back to the Investor Professor podcast. This is Dr. Ryan Peckham, and this is episode 168. On today's episode, Ashley Marx joins me once again, but this time we discuss entrepreneurship and financial independence. And so we'll be sharing ideas, our experience. So hopefully it'll make your journey a little less scary, a little less lonely. It's the one thing people don't tell you about entrepreneurship. And so this is kind of a fun conversation where talking about a serious subject, but we share a lot of great ideas. So as always, get your mind right and let's get to work.
You dropped this.
Welcome back, Ashley. How are you today?
Thank you for having me again.
The first one was so popular. They were like, you gotta bring her back.
Oh, that's so kind.
But today is gonna be a little more fun. Like we talked about mortgages and a little more serious. Today we're gonna talk about entrepreneurship, financial independence, and I think more fun topics. I'm excited to have this conversation with you because you being from the mortgage world, real estate world, me being from just, I guess, normal investing, stock investing, I guess normal for me, not maybe for other people.
Finance world.
Finance world. But just, I have clients, you have clients, we've seen things from different angles. We have our own entrepreneurship journeys, which we will discuss. And so I think it's just a good conversation for other people to listen into to kind of see how like we've not come to the same spots, but we're like headed in the same direction, but we got there on two different roads. And so I think it's important for people to see that it can be done, because I think that so many people want to achieve financial independence and maybe not just and actually enjoy what they do on a daily basis.
Yeah. I like to think that financial independence has given me emotional independence too.
Yeah.
And just being able to create the life that I want.
You mean from like the weight of not having it, or what do you like? Describe that a little bit more.
I think by having financial independence, it frees you up from worrying about things like a scarcity mindset in general.
Yeah.
So you're not worried about how you're going to make rent or pay your mortgage or your car bill. And you're able to focus on other things in your life. Like
it frees up that mental, because it is so, it's so mentally exhausting to think about like,
yes,
how am I going to pay my rent this month or my light bill or whatever?
And so when that's like the focus of your mind, there's so many other things that you're not paying attention to. And so you don't realize that you are in a scarcity mindset. Correct. And just survival mode.
Yeah. And I would say like that financial independence is there's a different definition for that depending on who you talk to. Yeah. So I'll give mine. Like financial independence to me doesn't mean that like I don't have to work. I actually really enjoy what I do. Yeah. So I'm not thinking about like, I'm not saying financial independence to me is sitting on a beach somewhere, because I would probably be pretty miserable and I sunburn really easily. Yeah. So
you not working just doesn't make sense. I don't think.
Yeah, but it does mean that I get to control my day.
Yes.
And I have control over my time.
Yes.
And I have pretty good control over my income. So to me, that's what financial independence means to me.
Yes.
So what about you?
I mean, I think it's similar. Like, yeah. I think there's something that is to be said about the mind staying active. And so work does that for me. Work makes me work harder and to become a better version of myself and to challenge myself to be better in my relationships and friendships. And so I think if it was like financial independence where like money wasn't an issue anymore, I think that also can tend to create problems as well. So I think having a place that I have somewhere that I get excited to wake up in the morning, right, and things that I'm doing that day is what I'm thrilled to spend my day doing. Is the fact that I get to choose to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a big difference between working because you want to and working because you have to.
Right.
And working on something that you actually enjoy.
Right.
So for you, like, what was it, or was there an event, or was there, I'm thinking back. So our last episode, you talked about going through files and seeing other people's financials,
Yeah.
right? Was that the moment for you where it was like, I mean, I got to be, in order for my life to be different, I have to be on a different plan than these people? Or like, where was that it or no? Or like, I'm wondering kind of where
I think it's like deep for me. It was a lot deeper than that.
Okay.
I was going through some stuff in my life personally where I just, didn't want to be, how do I say this? I wanted to be the author of my own life. And I
Okay.
wanted to be in control of my own life, and that included finances. So I needed to figure out how to provide the life I wanted for myself and for my daughter that that I felt was what I wanted to provide for her, and not lean on someone else to do it.
Right.
And so that meant that I had to rise to the occasion, and that was a lot of hard work. And I think I look back and I don't think if my daughter was in the picture, I probably would have challenged myself the way that I had if I
Yeah.
hadn't. But by her being there, it was like the catapult of like, we're going to do things differently.
It's weird how having children, or like, because you know that they depend on, I mean, they're 100% dependent upon you.
Right.
So it's a different version of, I got to make this happen for somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes the inner drive that we have might not be enough, but when you have a child or somebody that you're also doing it for, it gives you that extra strength that you need to really kind of make it happen.
And I think statistically speaking, like women with children have a tendency to be below the poverty line. And so I just was very cautious to want to work really hard for that to not be the
Yeah.
story. And I had the background and the skill set of of where I grew up to know that I was capable. I just needed to figure out and how to apply myself. And so that was like the hardest journey, was like figuring out what it was going to be. But once I figured it out, it was like, this is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing. Yeah. For me, like, I grew up in West Texas during the oil, like in the 80s. And everybody thinks about the oil field doing well now. But back then it got really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in the early 90s. And so I remember like people that I knew that were educated, that were mowing grass, and people's electric bills getting, like, I am willing to do whatever to not have financial pressure. That includes having 2 to 3 jobs. Like, I do not like the feeling of wondering, am I going to make enough money this month or whatever? Like, I remember that feeling in my early 20s. I was like, I'd rather just work however many hours it takes to make that happen. But like you, at some point, you got to be able to figure out, okay, how do I make money while I sleep?
Yeah.
How can there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
And so how do I now maximize those hours and find the thing that my skill set matches up to?
Right.
And to be able to kind of find that avenue that's going to be good for you.
Well, I think that there's always, every entrepreneur needs to have a little bit of a like fear of the scarcity mindset, or like survival, like to get out of it, right? Like, or it just doesn't work. Like,
you won't make it. It'll be it's too hard.
So you have to start there. But then I think at first, like the first brick for me was like, what is it gonna be? What am I gonna do? And then it was like, all right, now I just have to replace my salary. And then it was like, after that, then it kind of snowballed. But you just take one day at a time, and then you start creating systems and efficiencies and things to buy back your time.
Yeah, but that's your wheelhouse.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that, like, when you start out, you can't think about how am I buying my back by time in the beginning.
Right.
Like, you have to be thinking about how am I gonna provide and make this work and make ends meet.
But you're also like, you are your story is so unique because you found, like, you're so good at mortgages, you're so good at that, and you found that avenue.
Yeah.
But then rates changed.
Right.
And the business completely changed.
It's flipped overnight.
Right. Like, so you were like working at a company, doing mortgages.
Right.
And rates went from what?
We were at, like, I think I wrote people in like 1.75s was the lowest I ever wrote.
Don't say those rates. That's going to make people, 1.75. Okay.
I think I wrote the lowest I ever wrote was a 1.75.
Jeez.
But then I think we were into 4s overnight, and 4s wasn't a big deal like looking back now.
Right.
But to them at the time,
it's a shock to the
was like,
system.
it was a shock. So everybody just shut down,
And when you say people shut down, you mean like borrowers, buyers,
everybody just stopped. Everybody just stopped. And so like when that happens there was nothing. And the way that our compensation at the company that I was at was based on volume of closed deals versus like different models, then it was hard to survive, financially. So
yeah, because so you don't have to give numbers, but percentage wise, how much did your pay drop?
Oh, I mean, like
80%?
More than that.
More than that? Jeez.
I mean, it was probably like 90, I think, at the end of the day. But I was still making money. It wasn't going to be
right.
Like the only way you could handle that is if you had a bunch of money in savings to compensate.
To ride it out,
right.
Right.
And so you would be living off of other things, not based on that. If I was to stay at that company specifically.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of people in the field have been able to do that, but I was so new to the field at the time. Like it was in my first couple of years that
you hadn't been able to build up
I hadn't had that level. I had had a lot of success, but not that kind of success yet.
Right.
So I was still getting my systems in place, but it was a really good learning lesson for me. And when you do have success, not to get too comfortable on that higher cost of living,
Oh, yeah.
And so it was definitely a shock, but a good like wake up call of like, just always stay conservative.
But isn't it amazing how easy it is to increase our standard of living?
So easy.
And so hard to dial it back. I mean, I live in Texas and you don't live in Texas anymore, but it's like so many people are like, you know what? I need heated seats. I only use them 3 times a year and it's 115 outside, but you know what? I deserve these heated seats that I'm barely going to use,
Well,
so, I mean, but it's very easy to increase the standard of living.
And I mean, I think when we do it at first, it doesn't feel like we're like, okay, it's
not a
one
conscious
thing.
decision.
Yeah, it's like one small thing. But I think it's when all of those things slowly start adding up, And so that's where like this time around, I just want to do it differently, and then I want more contingencies in place and more safety nets.
Right. But the nice thing is that you're actually conscious of that, and that you're living your life in a way that is now built in.
Yes.
The other thing though that is hard is like, your journey here is you started off in mortgages and you really liked it, and then the business, you got a 90% drop in pay.
Yeah.
And you left.
Yeah.
And had to do something else for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. You find something you really like, you're really good at. The business changes overnight.
Yeah.
You have to find something else, which takes a lot of mental energy and, willpower. And then because you had worked in the business, you took those lessons that you had learned.
Right.
And you were able to recognize that the business was then again changing, and you jumped back into the business at like a perfect time.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
I mean, that takes, it takes guts. Like it takes guts, because you could have easily just stayed in the other thing that you found and said, man, mortgages, it was good, but there's so much in that business I can't control.
Right.
I don't want to be on that roller coaster again.
Yeah, I think it came down to personal goals, actually. And so, like, I really loved the other company that I was working for and doing my previous career, and I had a great team. But I think it just truly came down to what I wanted out of life.
Right.
And so, and which career was going to get me there.
Right.
And so it was a lot of wrestling, and like, you and I've talked about it many times, of jumping off the cliff.
Right.
But, because I jumped off the cliff and I just trusted it seems to have
it worked out. But it just takes, there's a lot of, like, for most entrepreneurs that I talk to, like, there's something different about entrepreneurs from the standpoint of people sometimes think it's a choice. I don't really think it's a choice to be an entrepreneur. I feel like you're physically cannot do other things. So I remember I would work for people and I would constantly be thinking about the decisions I would make if I was the boss and all these things. And I was like, I constantly thought about having my own business, my own practice. But I remember you and I had this conversation before you jumped or whatever. And I was
Yeah.
like, and I sat there and I said, I think you should like save up for maybe 6 weeks. Like let's do a 6-week plan of you going independent. And you're like, you're way ahead of me. And you're like, no, I think I need to do it today. And I was like, today? And you're like, yeah, I cannot, like, I got to do it now. Like, I got to do it now. But you had already been thinking, like, it wasn't like you made the decision that day, but it had just been in your mind constantly. And rates had kind of steadied out.
Yeah.
And you had an opportunity. And just like how you jumped out of the business, man, you went right back in.
I dove in.
You dove in with like not a parachute.
Not a parachute.
No parachute. And was like, I'm either, hitting the ground or I'm flying.
I'm failing. Yeah, I called my division manager that day and was like, Mike, just tell me it's going to be okay. He's like, it's going to be okay. And I was like, all right, let's do this, And so it was definitely between like the two of you guys, like it was definitely like a leap of faith for sure. And just like trusting the process and trusting my gut. But yeah, like I think at some point it hits your body. You just know
like
that
I can't
it's
stay
not
here
right
anymore. And they were in the place they weren't happy. I mean, that wasn't a fun phone call.
No,
I mean,
it was not.
like letting, calling somebody and saying, hey, I appreciate it, but this isn't right for me anymore. Like that's also not an easy, it's not easy to feel like you're disappointing people. And when you leave a job or you go somewhere, like I constantly tell people, it's not that people are against you. They're just for themselves.
Yeah. I think it was a hard phone call and I was disappointing people. And so that was really hard because I don't like to do that in general. But I have, in my late 30s, I've come to realize that this is my life and that I have to make decisions for myself. And what does that mean? It means disappointing people sometimes.
Yeah.
And that was a very difficult lesson for me to learn, but one that I needed to do. And honestly, I'm so glad I did because now, like, I just can't imagine, like, have not doing the year that I just did.
Right.
But
it also shows that, like, nobody's going to show up for you.
Nobody's going to show up for you.
You have to show up for yourself and you have to see it before other people see it. Like, you have to be willing to put in the time and the effort that the hours that people don't see.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to go on blind faith.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I mean, like, you have to be able to go on blind faith, which is not, I mean, we talk about it, it sounds easy. It's not easy. Like, you doing that, making that decision, cutting off a paycheck, that's a guarantee.
And health benefits.
And health benefits for somebody who has a child.
Yeah.
So health benefits for something that is not guaranteed.
Not guaranteed at all.
And, that is, I mean, that takes gumption, man. It's really amazing. Like, it's been amazing to kind of see the full circle, but it is also amazing how different your life is.
So different.
I would say I'm thinking 14 months, 16. I don't even know for 16 months.
Gosh, what?
This summer will be 16,
January, right?
Yeah.
And so we're in May now, so we're right there.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things where I just kept looking for I talk about jumping off a cliff, but like I always kept looking for like the route down the mountain that I could like walk
like
there.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that's just part of it is that there's no path down the mountain. Like there's no easy step. You just have to like trust that it's all going to work itself out. And then you swim like crazy, right? The second that you hit the water. So
yeah, right.
Like it's what you make it. And I think it's up to nobody but myself.
Right.
So my success is mine and my failure is mine.
Yeah, which is empowering and scary.
Yeah.
It's empowering and it's scary.
Makes me work really hard.
Yeah, but it's also, but the thing is too, is in this type of business, you get compensated for that work.
Yes.
So it's not like, I know some people, they work at a job. It doesn't matter how many hours they work, how well they do. They're tapped out. Like this is what you can make.
Yeah.
And I mean, for somebody like me, I mean, it's just kind of demotivating. I mean, it's not, but if you're in a business where you can have control of your income and you're this type of person, then it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think the fact that I'm untapped, like at the top, like I can make as much or as little as I want, and it's truly up to me is really nice. So there are seasons where I choose to hustle really hard, and there's other seasons where I take a step back, and
Yeah.
it's okay,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
I can go with the ebbs and flows of life, which is really nice.
Yeah. Well, and it also allows you to, yeah, like you said, like you can kind of, if you need to hit the brake a little bit, you can. It's more about, it's the consistency, right? Like we talk
Yeah.
about with like investing or anything else. It's like the consistency, the showing up, the habits, the things that you have to do to kind of get there. And then once you've proven to yourself that you can do it,
Yeah.
I mean, it just allows you to be able to, like you said, when we talked about financial independence, now that you've seen that you can do it,
Mm-hmm.
the mental freedom that that offers you
Priceless.
is priceless.
Yeah, like I'll never go back, like to working for somebody else again.
Can't even say it with a straight face. You just start laughing, like you actually like thinking about it,
I like it's just so the idea is crazy to me now. Like it's just
What's been great to see, like from my side of things, is like how different your goals are now.
yeah.
So think about like, like just it's like, wow, if I could do that, then I could make a goal like my investment portfolio to be this amount, or to
Yeah.
be able to do this, or to buy this house, or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter, but it's like all of a sudden you start thinking about like, oh my gosh, like what am I actually capable of?
Right.
And your goals start to match. They start to get bigger. They start to,
Yeah.
fan out a little bit. And you've been such a good proponent to your friends and other people and helping them and talking about your journey and helping others. I think that's been really neat to see.
Well, that's one of my favorite things about the role that I'm in right now at this branch is that I get to help so many other people
Yeah.
have also the same amount of freedom. And now I just outside of even mortgages, I just really want to help people learn that they can do this
Right.
themselves as well. Like it doesn't have to be, oh, if you're just in real estate or in investing.
Yeah.
There's just so many ways that you can accomplish the same thing.
Yeah. It's matching your skill set to what opportunities are out there, and not,
Right.
and we've talked about this a little bit, but just like opening your, bless you, opening your brain to those
Sorry.
possibilities.
Right. Right. Sorry,
Like,
I just like
no,
sneezed.
it's okay.
Like,
It's hey, we're live. This is what happens. Like we just keep going.
yeah.
But a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of us that they kind of close their brain off to those possibilities of what could be. And
Yeah.
they never really allow their brain to even think about like what they could do or do on their own or whatever.
Yeah. Now my brain's now like my playground of like all the
Mhm.
different ideas that I can
Right.
go down
Yeah.
now. So it's fun. And now I feel like I understand how to get there. It's like I talk about it a lot is just doing one brick at a time. But it's
Mhm.
like you get the idea and then you just start building one brick at a time. You don't have to have it all figured out overnight. Just take one step forward at a time. And the next thing you know, you're looking back and you've got like a whole brick road.
Mhm.
So I think that's the best part is I never would have imagined that last January that we would be sitting here
Yeah.
today in May of 2025.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of work that went into that. I'm wondering, like, I always think about, I think about people's self-talk a lot,
Yeah.
because unfortunately or fortunately, like we spend a lot of time with ourselves.
Yes.
And so we can either be our best friend or we can be sometimes our biggest critic and enemy.
Yeah.
When you were going through that transition,
Yeah.
like your self-talk to keep you motivated
Yes.
to, on days where it wasn't easy, like what did you tell, like was it like, hey, like it's gonna get better, like what do you remember anything that you told yourself that you felt like was what, because you have to have, I think most of us, you have to have something that keeps you going,
Yeah.
because it's hard, and if you don't have something, and like you are more likely to be like, okay, because you could have easily just gone back and got another job,
I
is
could
basically
have.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple things, right? So like, so one of the things that I like to do is like anytime I was having a negative thought on anything, I would tell myself 10 truths for that one negative thought,
Okay.
just to invalidate that negative thought. And so so if it was like, man, I don't have any clients right now, then I would list off the 10 different conversations I had just had with somebody, like
Mm-hmm.
recently, or how I am doing my marketing right now. That would be a reminder that leads are constantly coming in, or I would be focusing on the conversation that I just had with someone at the restaurant the other day that I gave my phone number to. So I would speak truth into my life every time I heard a negative thought to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot. And then I think like just manifesting my goals, understanding what those goals were, but actually creating a roadmap to get there. Like
Yeah.
manifesting isn't just saying, I want X,
Right.
it's understanding the path to get there and then acting on it. And so staying top of mind and focused on that.
And planning your days. Plus you're very, I know this about you, but you're very logic minded.
Yeah.
So I'm sure like building a plan for you is like therapeutic, and seeing it on paper. Yeah, required. Yeah, yeah,
It's like
exactly.
required. And then
Yeah.
I think too is like, because it makes my brain calmer by seeing that there's an action plan. So
Right.
it makes me feel like I have more control over what
Right.
is to head, because I know what steps I need
Right.
to do. I think another thing too is something that I always tell my team is what is for me will be there, and what is not will leave.
Mhm.
So like if you're going through something or something's happening and like a client is coming in and has hot energy and is being impatient and like is demanding of time, but you don't have capacity to handle that in that moment, and you set good boundaries and they decide to leave, that client isn't for you.
Right.
But if they stay and they wait it out until you're ready to be able to meet their needs with a reasonable amount of time, then then that is for you. And so that's
Okay.
something that I try to practice and exercise, and that there's always constant a revolving door of opportunity. So just because you might get like a dry spell in a
Mhm.
little bit doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. Like the energy is always flowing. So
Yeah.
I just try to keep those things top of mind. And then if there's ever like negativity or like my body is just not feeling it, I try to move my body, move the energy, move the things to get me right aligned
Yeah.
again and
Yeah.
focused again. But I mean, my daughter at the end of the day is also focused, and that scarcity like mindset as well of like survivalhood is like such a
Like direct reminder.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Looking back at you.
yeah, I'm just like there's just like that's why I do it. That's why I do it.
Yeah. Yeah. In your business, I think that what you said, I mean, that's a lot there, but like to unpack that, your business is a lot about planting seeds.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, it's not like the business that you're working on today didn't show up yesterday.
No.
And so, whatever business you're in or whatever industry you're in, I mean, there's going to be a lag there. And so just because you can't see the benefits of that activity doesn't mean that that activity isn't going to generate, that activity isn't going to generate business or prosperity in the future.
Yeah.
So that again goes back to that blind faith, knowing that the things that you're working on are going to be able to sustain you later on, and making sure that I'm doing these disciplines. And like you talked about the plan, like I plan my day, like all of those things are so important, because you can't always control the outcome,
Right.
but you can control like your activity and the things that you're doing.
You can control you.
Right.
You can't control how everybody else shows up.
Yeah.
So something that I always try to do just in general is like when I'm out and about, like I do try to smile. I try to, if there's an opportunity to connect, I ask questions. I get to know people. I try to learn their stories. And then I try to exchange contact information and let them know that if they ever need anything, I'm always here. So I try to be an active participant in life to be able to do those things.
Yeah. And to be like open and just putting good things out there. And
yeah. I think at the end of the day, like I tell clients no all the time. I'm like, we shouldn't do this. You shouldn't move forward with this, or you should take actually this mortgage instead of the mortgage that I'm able to offer you. And I think like it continues to be a positive thing because I gain them for life, like I don't need just one transaction from them. Like if I can get them a better deal elsewhere, like they should take that deal. What I care about is, are they taking care of their overall financial picture? And I think that really pays off, of just having the mindset of like really truly wanting what's best for my clients.
Yeah. And doing a good job for people. It's like you do good for other people, you put good out there, and the world will take care of you.
Right.
I put good out there, I get good back.
Right.
And I think that definitely is key. So have you talked to others about like, your entrepreneurship journey? I mean, I know like this, but like, have you talked to people? Have you seen how fearful people are when they think about going out on their own?
Oh my gosh, it's a hot topic. It's like the thing that we talk about all the time because the fear is real.
Yeah.
Fear is so real. And so it's really hard because I wish I could say that there's another way, but the only way to get past the fear is through it.
Yeah.
So the only way is to jump off the cliff.
Yeah.
There's no side path down that mountain.
Yeah.
Like you have to face your fear and you have to just go for it.
And you can't.
There's no dance. Like you just have to do it.
There's a saying that says, when one door closes, another one opens. But I always say, but it's hell in the hallway. I mean, like, because it is like, I mean, there's, you can try to walk people through this stuff, but until they actually do it, you can't read about it in a book.
No.
You can't, listen to a podcast about it. I mean, there's all these things, but like, until you really are out there on the wire with nothing under you, I mean, it's just a different sensation.
I mean, you do it scared. Like,
yeah, you
this
do.
Really,
for sure.
The only way you get it done is you do it scared. So when I jumped off that cliff and I put in my resignation, I did it scared. I cried. I might have thrown up.
Yeah.
It was a scary feeling, but I did it.
I mean,
I cut ties.
Yeah, you did it. Like yours was scarier than mine.
Mine was super scary.
Yeah, yours was scarier than mine. Like when I did it, like I still had a job. Like I was like, I mean, I waited a while. Like I didn't go just the full, like, cut the cord and see ya, type of deal, So, but I think that's important to point out because everybody's situation is going to be different. Everybody's journey is going to be different. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for financial independence, you have to do something to where you can control your income, or you can increase your skill set, or you can get compensated. Like there has to be something there. Like I have all the time people come to me about wanting investments that, can you double my money every month? I mean, I actually had somebody said, if I invest with you, can you double my money every month? And I said, well, if I could double money every month, I would just double my money every month, and then I wouldn't have to do this. But I feel like so many are looking for like this magic pill or whatever. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you. What are you doing? What income are you generating for yourself?
Yeah.
And then that gives you the possibility to be able to open up to investing, real estate, whatever avenue, maybe you go buy a business or whatever.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it's like you have to hold the power.
Yeah.
You can't give power to someone else and expect them to get the results that you want. So like I had to hold the power. So if I wanted unlimited income, if I wanted unlimited access to time and to be able to control my schedule, if I wanted to be able to flex my wings of what I could do on a skill set level, and just be the best version of myself, I had to stop playing inside the box.
Right.
And so I think it's hard because we grew up in a society that this is what we should do, the 9 to 5, all these different things. But I've never been happier than now living in my full truth.
And the 9 to 5 is fine because it taught you the industry.
Oh yeah.
Like you're able to like gain the skills and all of the things.
Oh yeah, I'm so grateful for it.
That you were able to then leverage.
Yeah.
To be able to go out on your own.
Yeah.
Same with me. I mean, same with me working for like an investment firm or whatever.
Yeah.
And then being able to, but never letting that flame in my brain of like having my own thing burn out.
Well, there is definitely something to be said about getting the skill set first.
Yeah.
Like versus trying to get the skill set and try to run a business at the same time. Like it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's actually a very good point to think about is like if you wouldn't have already had the skill set, how much harder would it have been?
I wouldn't have been successful.
Yeah, it probably would have been too much.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been successful. And the like, I'm grateful for that time.
Yeah.
And then I'm even grateful for the job after that because it really helped me close doors for myself personally of like where my interests lie and where I should be spending my time and how I want to be, living my life. I think when you get close to reaching 40, at some point you're just kind of like, all right, like when's it gonna start? When's life gonna start? And it's like when you start to answer that question for yourself that, it starts now because I'm choosing for it to start now and I'm gonna create the life that I want. And that's what these past 16 months have been. It's just me creating the life that I want and expecting no one else to do it for me.
Yeah. And having not only accountability, but now it's controllability. Now you're able to make the decision for you because you want to do it, not because somebody's telling you or you think you should or whatever.
Right.
And it completely changes the dynamic between everything.
Everything's changed.
Everything's changed. So, well, I appreciate you sharing this with us. We're going to have to do a follow-up episode. I'm going to hold you to it so we can talk about this. But I really do appreciate you coming back on, talking to us about the journey, talking to us about financial independence, and showing others that it's possible.
It is so possible.
It's so possible.
And it's scary. You just got to do it.
Yeah, it is. It is scary. I mean, if it wasn't scary, everybody would do it. So thank you again.
Thank you.
This podcast contains general information that may not be suitable for everyone. The information contained here should not be construed as personalized investment advice. There is no guarantee that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast will come to pass. Investing in the stock market involves gains and losses and may not be suitable for all investors. Information presented here is subject to change without notice and should not be considered as a solicitation to buy or sell any security. Right Our Equities does not offer legal or tax advice. Please consult the appropriate professional regarding your individual circumstance. Past performance is no guarantee of future results.